Businesses are coming together to stand against the city's latest attempt at a business head tax. More than 180 business leaders, who together represent 700,000 jobs in the Seattle region, signed a letter from the Chamber of Commerce, Downtown Seattle Association, and Greater Seattle Business Association today, urging the council to reject a call for $150 million a year in additional taxes.
They write in part, many in the business community have repeatedly supported multiple local and regional measures that raised our own taxes but improved the quality of life for all. It goes on to say, we believe the false narrative that business is paying less than its share, coupled with a rushed process with a predetermined outcome, resulted in the task force's current recommendation, which is double the maximum end of the range the council had initially identified. So here's a look at some of the signatories on that letter. Dozens and dozens of business leaders have put their name on it. So we are here now with Seattle City Councilmember Sawant, who is actually a supporter of the Seattle head tax. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So this is a hot topic here in Seattle. What's your response, first of all, to the group of businesses that addressed this letter to the council today?
Well, first of all, just to speak to the viewers who are watching this, most likely you heard when you write your rent check every month to your landlord, and if so, then this issue should be of interest to you. And this whole issue of taxing the very biggest businesses of our city came up with our movement that was fighting against homelessness and fighting for affordable housing. And as far as these businesses are concerned, let me tell you, one of the signatories of this letter is somebody from Amazon, somebody who represents Amazon. I mean, are we really going to argue that Amazon can't afford to pay a little bit into the city to make housing affordable? Let's put this into context. Amazon made $5.6 billion profit last year, and thanks to the Trump corporate tax cuts late last year, they're now getting a $789 million windfall. This is highway robbery, and in the meanwhile, the city has become unaffordable for most of us. We're saying make businesses like Amazon, big businesses, pay a tiny amount of their fair share to build affordable housing every year. The
business leaders say that they're already paying 57% of the city's general fund. They say that they're paying their fair share right now.
I don't think that they're paying their fair share by any means. And as a matter of fact, what we've seen over and over again is that big businesses like Amazon and Boeing and so on, they end up carrying this kind of blackmail of cities and states, saying that unless you give us this or that, we're going to leave. And they keep threatening. And we saw these threats during the fight for a $15 minimum wage as well. And none of those threats have come to fruition. In reality, it has $15 an hour has not impacted the city in any negative way. And many of these companies who opposed 15 are also on this list.
Well, you look at Amazon, they are leaving. They're building a second headquarters somewhere else.
They're building a second headquarters. But if you look at Boeing, the history of Boeing shows that every time they went to the state legislature and said, if you don't give us this or that corporate handout, we will leave. And what happened? The state legislature gave them every handout they asked for, and the jobs left anyway. So the only alternative to this race to the bottom of all the cities is for all workers in all cities to fight against this corporate domination. That is why I'm urging everybody come to the town hall that I'm hosting tonight with other community members and activists at Langston Hughes Performance Arts Institute on 17th and Yesler at 6 p.m.
6 p.m. Let's drill down on who exactly would pay. I know one of the earlier versions of the draft talked about a $10 million a year threshold on gross revenues. Would all businesses in Seattle pay this tax?
Well, if you look at the thresholds that at least I am talking about and the movement that I'm part of is talking about, we're talking about taxing either the 5 or the 10% or somewhere in that range of the largest businesses in Seattle. So these are not your mom and pop stores, your local coffee shops, immigrant-owned stores. We're talking about the Amazons, the Facebooks, the Macy's, the Nordstroms, the really top-tier corporations that are making historic profits and making profits for their billionaire shareholders. So we're saying if you take a small amount of those corporations' profits and you raise about $150 million every year, you could build up to 750 permanently affordable units. We know the market has not solved the problem. We need to do something, but I'm absolutely opposed to small businesses paying any tax.
We would all like to think that these companies would take that money out of their profits. But what's to say that these companies won't take the money away from workers who are in the city just trying to make a living?
Speaking as an economist, that's a very good question, but speaking as an economist, I would say economic research shows that these threats that corporations have, that, you know, if you tax us, we'll pass it on to employees, it's not that straightforward for them to do that. At the end of the day, it will actually tax big business and the billionaires, and what we will see is a small measure of, a fight back against the massive inequality inequality that we have in the city. I mean, this city, you know, we passed a resolution from the city council saying that the city is welcoming to all. It's a sanctuary after Trump's attacks on immigrants, which I totally support, making this a sanctuary city. But it can't be a sanctuary if you can't afford to live here.
I wish we had more time, but to be continued tonight at Langston Hughes Performing Arts Center, 6 p.m. Always good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Very quickly, when will the council make the decision? Do we know when there's going to be a decision?
The council has set up a calendar of maybe 2 months, but I don't think we're going to win anything unless we build a movement. So ordinary people, if this issue interests you, if you hurt every time you write your rent check, come and join us. If you work for Amazon, but you care about social justice, and I know many of you are out there, join us as well.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Councilwoman Shyama Sawant, thank you so much.